Welcome back, everyone. We had a good water break. So the first session we ended on governor school and how it impacted Ayushi and what all she did. So attending classes, running through the dorms, and it was a very good experience for her. So we'll go now, deep dive into a few of the myths that we carry with the college application. So one such myth is on the SAT and ACT score. So tell us something about that, and many parents and of course including myself, we kind of stress out a lot on that aspect of the college application. So throw some light on that.
So I can speak personally from my experience. I don't think the SAT and ACT played a big role into my application. I did not submit my ACT, I just submitted my SAT score. So I don't think it played a huge deal. Of course, I was also class of 2024, which meant that test scores were optional for me. They were optional for me, but they still, I feel like they had something to do with the application, of course. So I submitted my score to UNC Chapel Hill. They saw my score. I didn't apply test optional there, and I still got in, though that is not the median or that is not the average score for the what the students at Chapel Hill have. But and I didn't submit it at NYU, but I got there as well. So you can take that information as you will. I feel that in the upcoming classes, the SAT, ACT score might be a bit more important than it was for me. But for the class of 2024, I believe that if you don't submit your SAT score, you have to have other aspects of your application that make up for that difference. So it's not completely optional, it's more so like an optional facade, but behind it you have to have some type of additional backing into your application to ensure that you still appear as a strong applicant. But that was for me. I would not know the rules and everything because a lot of schools are changing their policies. So the future classes may have different ways of going about things, but that's for me.
Yep. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's pretty much your take on the SAT and ACT. Yeah.
Right.
Thank you so much for that. So now we have touched point on a myth, and now let's start. Let's go into deep dive into the most hot topic of selection and the lineup of AP subjects, which I know most students think that we have to have a lot of AP subjects. So yeah, throw some light on that. I mean, how you should how many you should have firstly, and how it should be in your high school years.
Right. So I took 10 AP subjects in my high school journey. My ninth grade was essentially AP free. I had no APs in that year. Again, it was like year slacking off for me. So I had no APs in my ninth grade. 10th grade I took one AP, but majority of my APs were taken during my junior and senior year. And I think more so not the amount of APs you take, but like what you learn from them and what's the course load that you take really matters to the colleges. I've seen people take 5, I've seen people take 13, 14, and they're like on the same level still. So I don't think it matters how many you take. Of course, you should have a middle ground. It should be that you do take APs because those classes are harder than honor level classes. So you need to show colleges that you can handle a college level class, right? So you need to have a middle ground between not taking too many APs, but and also taking good amount of APs, but at the same time you also don't want to damage your GPA. You want to do good in those classes, right? So I would suggest taking a middle ground, and your GPA, even if you get like a B in your AP subject, that's all right as well. That's not going to kill your GPA completely, but again, still manage your GPA, right? So I think finding a middle ground is important. I would suggest taking AP courses that you have an interest in and you know that you'll pay attention to and you'll do great in. So yeah, that's my advice.
Yeah, I also remember you mentioning that don't bombard yourself with too many APs and have the GPA slip down the road, because having a steady GPA and a good GPA is also a prereq of your college application. So, having 15 APs and your GPA sliding down is not something that you would advise to all the high schoolers.
Yes.
Or
take
the
what
seniors.
you can, like eat what you can from the plate. So take as many APs as you can handle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah. So now we have touch point on the pivots that kind of reaches you to the college application. Now let's talk more about the college application. So let's deep dive into it, and I'm sure everybody is waiting on how. Firstly, how was the experience? Then let's talk about how you strategized your college application. What did you primarily write? How and what all you did for your college application. So yeah, let's start the discussion on the hot topic.
So I think my experience was initially it was bad. It was a lot of stress mentally. College applications, they aren't necessarily hard. It's very tedious, so I'll say that because all of high school we've been taught to write essays on essays about well, not irrelevant things, but just like who wants to write about Shakespeare at this day and age. But we've been taught to write about Shakespeare. So when it comes to our college essays, we know nothing but Shakespeare. We know nothing about ourselves. So I think brainstorming ideas and coming up with your own journey is quite difficult for sure. But I think once you start getting the hang of it, I mean, if you use resources, if you use your school counselor, online resources, family, friends, everyone is there to help you during this process. So I think once you start brainstorming, I remember once I started, getting out drafts of my essays and making mistakes and everything, things got a lot easier for me. So yeah, that would be my advice. At the pivot, that use your resources. Don't stress about it too much also. It's not worth all that tears and all that late nights. But yeah, so that would be my experience with the college applications.
Yeah, I think you handled your shivers and fevers pretty well, and you did get at one point pretty tired, and you did have a college app fatigue.
Yes.
But then you also throw that one line which I think is so inspirational. Rejection is redirection. So don't take anything very seriously. You need to be serious, of course. That's college application,
Right.
but don't get overburdened or get too much anxious. So we'll have more questions, but then tell me how it felt when you in the month of November, December. I know you mentioned that it was pretty much a low time for me and then high time. So let's just have a quick jog on that your emotion level. So how did you handle that?
I mean, it was hard at first, I would say. You work so hard on your essays and Common App, and everyone says, I heard it 1,000 times when I was writing my essays, that you work on your Common App for months and the admission officers look at it for 15 seconds. So it's hard accepting that fact as well, working so hard on it. I was worried, but I was also not too worried at the same time. I think most importantly, having a good list of schools at that time was helpful, because you feel like you won't get in anywhere good or wherever you want to go, but if you have a good list of schools, you're going to go into somewhere you like, right? So having a good list of schools is important. Like for me, a lot of the schools that you mentioned were like by safety. Like I knew I was going to get into there. A lot of them I applied. I didn't know I was going to get in or not. I wasn't worried about that either because I know I was going somewhere. So I think that's important. If you feel nervous, then know that you're going somewhere. So yeah, that would be my advice.
Wow. So that was Ayushi, calm and composed through the process. So now we have more questions as to how she dealt with the prompts, but then that comes in the third segment of this chat session with her. So stay tuned, go for a water break, and let's come back on the third section of this series. Thank you.